Welcome to Redefining ABCD. So, hey everybody, welcome back to season 4. This is our first episode that we're kicking off in the season, and we're super excited to bring you guys some really great content. With just a little change in cadence you might have seen on our social media. We are dropping episodes monthly rather than bi-weekly, just to kind of adjust to some of our schedules with life. But other than that, everything else is staying the same. We're gonna make sure we bring you some cool content, and you'll get to hear more from Sneha and I, which is, I think that's exciting. And so we're excited for you to join along on our ride. So today is for our first episode. We're talking about love languages. Since we're releasing this episode in February, we thought it would be a great way to talk a little bit about love languages, how they kind of affect us in the sense of how they affect choosing relationships, how it can influence your workplace, friendships, and just doing all that fun stuff. And just talking a little bit about that. And so yeah, so I guess for those of you who don't know the different types of love languages, there's 5 main types, and they're categorized with as words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So we're just gonna dive straight in, and so what we first kind of planned today is trying to see if we could guess each other's love language types, because we've known each other for like 15 plus years. So I think it'd be kind of curious to see if we can guess each other's love language types. So yeah, we'll just get straight into it. Sneha, you want to start or should I start?
To guess your love language? Is that what
Sure,
we're
yeah.
trying?
Yeah, I guess each
Um
other.
so we were talking before. Kirti's already guessed one of mine. So I have two. She's guessed one of mine. So that's fun. She's already winning in that front. It's fine. Um uh, for you I'd say quality time, right? Am I right? Please be right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes?
That's
Yes?
one of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
one of them.
Okay. Okay, that is okay, but you have another one, right?
Yeah, I have two.
The
I think I have two. Like, so quality time and something else.
Okay. Um I'm torn between two. I'm torn between words of affirmation or acts of service. And I'm trying to gauge based on your reaction. I might be completely wrong. Maybe I'm it's like
I
just
gotta like have a poker face.
yeah, I don't think it's gifts because I've never seen you well, see, it's difficult because I should also preface like me and Kirti, we've known each other for years, right? I've never given you a gift. I don't think I've given you a gift. Is that a problem? I don't think like just because I haven't given you a gift
It's
doesn't
not a
mean
problem.
that
Don't worry.
right.
We're still besties.
Okay. I don't think it's gifts though. I don't think it is.
You're correct.
Okay,
Gifts
okay,
isn't
okay.
as important to me.
Okay, and I don't think it's physical touch. I don't think that's one of them. So I'm right. It's words of affirmation and acts of service. I just don't know which one.
You're sort of cold on the last comment that you made.
It
It's
it
not
is
gifts. You
physical
can rule out
touch?
gifts for sure. Yeah.
Is it physical touch? Okay. Wow. Okay. Never mind. Okay, you know what? It's fine. I got one
I
of
love hugs.
them. Okay. Okay.
No,
Great.
it's fair, fair.
Okay, at least I knew it wasn't gifts, so that's fine. It's good.
We're still
What do you
homing.
think?
Don't worry. I'm just
What
kidding.
yeah, okay. Thank God. No, what do you think mine are? No, I'm curious. You already know one of
um.
mine. Because I told you.
Yeah. So I before the recording, I guessed physical touch just because and I think that was the correct one because I think just like similar to me, I really like hugs. I think Sneha, you really like hugs, like
Hmm.
handshakes, and like very much like expressing the love in that way, depending on the relationship type. The second one, I am like I am torn between words of affirmation and quality time because I feel like whenever you are like whenever you're in a rut and whenever we talk about like figuring out or helping each other with problems, I think encouragement has definitely been like a good motivating factor for you to figure out how you want to go through specific like obstacles. But then also quality time because like you spend time I think that's the reason why I like quality time is because you get to like actually spend time to like nurture that relationship. So that's why I think those are the two I'm debating between because I feel like that's like I feel like that you're very similar in that way. We're very
It
similar in that
they're
way. Am I
so
hopefully right?
I will say they are second and third. So you are very close, but one of them overtakes the other.
Oh, okay. So then, if so I can rule out gifts and acts of service
Yes,
then, right?
you can rule those out. Well,
Okay,
although
good.
no, you could probably rule those out. There is one of those two that I think is tied with third, if that makes sense. But
Tied with third. Oh, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah. I see what you're
when I
saying.
took it, it was weird when I took when I took the love language test or whatever. I remember it being like two of them were very close to each other and third, and then there was one and two that were very like obviously one and two.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and then there
Okay,
was one that didn't
okay.
even show
Hmm.
up. It was just kind of like meh.
Meh. On the
Yeah,
side.
it's like if fine if you sure if you would like, but you know,
Ooh, okay. So I got to figure out second. I think I'll figure
yes,
out second, then I'll be able to figure out the third. Hmm.
okay,
Oh, this is hard. I'm just gonna take a random like stab based on my gut. Quality time?
yeah, second,
Yeah. Is
yeah,
second?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's second. That
And
was
then third is
because
words of affirmation.
yeah, tied with acts of service. Because I
Oh,
only
interesting.
and only because some I know some people like that's how they show their love, if that makes sense. They show their love through acts of
Yeah.
service, and sometimes they might not understand
Hmm.
how to like show it other ways. So can still identify that and appreciate that in some way. It's just not top on my
Hmm.
list, you know. Yeah,
Yeah,
if
that's a
that
good
makes any
point.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I can see
I do
that.
see the thing. I do find myself doing that sometimes when like because when I do care about sometimes I don't know how to articulate that, so it's easier to just like do things
Hmm.
for them because it freaks me out
And like
otherwise.
show. I
Yeah,
get
well,
that.
and I'm also very
Yeah.
aware that like for a lot of people like not a lot of people but for some people like the level of physical touch and like quality time that I need might be a little too aggressive for some people, and I recognize that. So especially in the beginning you have to like kind of reel it in a little bit so that it's not so that at
Yeah, no, I
that
get what you
point
mean. You gotta like test it out because you can't.
yeah you get yeah because though I feel like those are the two that people it's very easy it, I think in America this might be getting a little too deep about it, but like I feel like in American culture specifically, like people get very weird about like physical touch and like quality time specifically because it's like, oh, you're getting attached too quickly, or you're like, I don't want to like, you know, and I'm like, no, but I just
Really?
care about
I
you.
feel like it's the opposite.
Really?
I
Maybe
feel
I've
like
just
physical
been
touch comes easier in American culture, or maybe that's just like an assumption
bro.
that I've made, just because I feel like hookup culture here is so prominent. Like that's why there's dating apps. So I just assume people would be more for physical touch in comparison to like the deeper. I think, in my opinion, they're like a little bit deeper than physical touch, like quality time or like words of affirmation, because you got to
Yeah,
really think about it when you for it, you
true.
know.
That's true, but physical touch doesn't necessarily have to mean like sex or something. It could just be like cuddling or hugging or
But like,
like
even
being
like a
close to
hug
someone.
and like a
People find it too
yeah, even
intimate
holding hands
sometimes.
and hugs. Really, I just feel
Yeah,
like that
no.
comes more naturally. But okay.
I mean, I don't know. It's just what I because like I've that's why I don't resort to hugging, and I think I've been conditioned to do this very like I've been told to like kind of suppress it a lot. So
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I don't want to like. There's a long time where I was like not hugging people because I was like, I don't know what your stance is on this, and I don't want to get into your personal bubble,
well, is
like. But I will. But I don't want.
yeah, well, is it? Do you think?
I don't know what the rules are here.
Yeah, do you associate that with American culture though? 'Cause I feel like that's more of like the South Asian culture. Because like,
Really?
showing physical forms, I feel that's what I think. Like, I think like I'll be really honest with you. Like, hugging and saying I love you, I've never really like felt that as comfortable in
Yeah.
our culture. Like,
I
it
just
feels sometimes it feels weird for me to hug people within like for our like in our cultural standards. I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. Well, because in my head, I just think of like, because like in India, like if you see, like people are more comfy, like guys are. more physical touch with each other. There's more of a friendly sort of touch and like a hug or like whatever. No? Maybe I'm just like completely. I just
Okay,
thought that was
how about
like an
this? Do you
American
like when you
standard.
see like your relatives? How like when you
Yeah.
see your relatives in like your male counterpart relatives, like your cousins and whatnot? Do you automatically go in for a hug still?
Well, that's difficult because I don't. I all of my relatives are females, so like we're all. I don't
Oh,
know. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I feel like it's like I thought that was just an American standard that trickled into our South Asian community. And then there was a lot of pressure to not, but we also wanted to, but there was also not. So it's like this contradiction that people could never figure out. So people would just avoid it. And it was weird. And I was like, I don't like this. Y'all are weird. Like, let's just hug each
huh.
other.
I That's interesting.
Let's just show each other affection. No, I don't know. I yeah.
I always like associated like physical touch type of expression of love with American culture. And I didn't really like. I thought it was not very much a common thing in like South. I thought the opposite basically because like I don't
The
know, people aren't like physically expressy in our culture. I feel like,
but it doesn't even have to be.
or they assume, or maybe it's just me that like in our South Asian culture, they assume like the women would be more affectionate than the men. I don't know, just because I don't
I
know.
think that's
There's a
just
lot of dimensions going on.
actually no. That's a good. Okay, while we're on that topic, we can I guess kind of stick. You said, do you think that there's like certain love languages that are associated with a specific gender over another? Because I think that would be. I don't know. What do you think?
I think like it's weird because like it goes with like gender like bias of like or stereotype of how you would perceive like a woman versus man like that gender roles even though
Yeah.
there are more genders than male and female I know but I'm just saying like the traditional what people talk about just because it just makes the conversation a little bit easier to talk about
Yeah.
um uh I think there is like certain behaviors that are associated with like both of those genders like I think I don't know. Maybe it's also the people that are in my life. Like if like a man is very like hugging and affectionate, that's kind of strange for me, just because they don't really I don't associate that with like the male species.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
and for female, like that's what I associate. I associate that more with like physical touch and like words of affirmation. I associate that more with like female. Like if I think about how I interact with my like friends that are like girls or like my family members that are women, like I'm very
Yeah.
much more expressive in that way. Like I will automatically hug and cuddle, and I'll like be very like supportive and stuff like that. But like how I like interact with like my male like friends, I don't do like a hug. I'll like chest bump maybe or not like chest bump like you know like the bro bump. Like I'll be very broy. I don't know why, but like it's very different. That's why I feel like certain languages are like biased or like unconsciously maybe or I assume for like both genders. It's just I think it's just
Yeah.
because the way that I've had to interact with
There
not have to,
there
but like how I've interacted or been exposed to, you know?
there's some love languages that feel more feminine as opposed to masculine to like
Yeah.
okay. I mean that's fair.
I hate
I
wording
guess
it like that. I hate yeah.
no, I mean like that's fair cuz like I feel like I don't know. When I first read through the love languages, that like never occurred to me just because like in my head I'm just seeing disembodied figures like, oh, you have words of affirmation and you have acts of service. I think that's mostly because that's how I like came at this with the same like ideology that I came out with like personality tests and stuff. Like, oh, like INFP,
Oh.
INTJ, ISTJ,
Mhm.
those are never really associated with one like gender over another. So like in my head that's how I came at this with the same thing. So like it's interesting that yes, there might actually be like an assumption or something associated like with gender in terms of love language. Like that just never occurred to me. But it is interesting. Like you're not wrong, especially in terms of like gender, like the gender roles that people perceive in society, like, oh, men are supposed to be the fighters and they're like strong and like they're doing all this stuff and
Right,
they're
yeah.
fighting, and then the feminine, women are supposed to be like this and like quieter and more communicative and like, oh, I just want to like be there for you. But like I don't think I made that connection, but that's interesting. I can see that, I think, for sure.
'Cause I think I think that it's just the way that I see it like that is because like when you raise like a kid, people already have certain ways of how they would go
Yeah.
about it. Like when it comes to parenting, like for a girl, it's very nurture, like very like, "Hi, you're doing great, you're doing this," and then for men, it's just like it's different. It's like more like brute force, like, "Hey,"
Yeah.
like we don't talk about our feelings. Or back in the day, I don't know how it is now. Of course, I'm not a parent, but like
Probably not. Yeah.
that's how I perceived it. Because like, I think a good example is like my brother. I think his love language would be like quality time or acts of service because like whenever he tries to express like his fondness like for me or like other family members, he will like do something. He will go and help. Like if like I'm sick, he'll like go and get me soup or he'll go and
Right.
get me like a cookie or something like that. Or like if he like we feel like I know like whenever he like misses me, he the way that he says that is like, "Hey, let's go grab lunch. Let's go catch up
Right.
because like we haven't seen each other in a long time." So like that's what it's not necessarily like, "Hey, I want to give you a hug and physically show you that I love you." Like,
Yeah.
like that's why I kind of associate like that because it's like it could just be more of like you said, that's also a factor too. I feel like your personality. But
Well,
yeah,
that
that's what
and the
it was just like some general thoughts.
well, that and like people that you end up like having in your life for the most, and like who you like, who's
Right.
around and who's like that, like that makes sense because like I like, okay, like I said, I don't have any, like I don't like, my entire family is female, so like I don't have the male perspective on a lot of things because like, you know what I mean, like even like my all of
No,
the,
it's a good point.
well, and my dad, he's cool, but he's like I feel like my dad is very in touch with his feminine side and is like a lot more like, I don't know, like it's not like the, oh, I'm gonna be the buff, I'm gonna like
No,
take care, like it's
it's
not.
fair.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like and yeah, I don't know.
We
I think it's just based on like who you have in your life and who is surrounding us at any given
that
point.
Yeah, that's a good point because like if you think about it, we're in opposite like environments in the sense of your family is predominantly like it's you, your sister, and your mom. So like your dad
Yep.
is the minority in that case. For on
Unfortunate
my
for
side,
him.
it's like half.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, on my side it's like half in terms of immediate family. Like I have a brother and then dad, of course, and then mom and me. But then in my extended family side there's a lot more like sons. So like the dynamics is a little bit different just with that too. So that's a good point. Like I didn't really think about it like that. I think I just automatically assumed it based on like my environment, which
Yeah,
is I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
No, I mean that's fair too. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know. I just assumed, this is kind of embarrassing. I just assumed all men were like super like I don't know, like particular, I don't know. Like more in touch with their feminine
Well,
side
maybe
and like not as like aggressive. Like I just assumed that was the case until very for a very long time. And then I was like, "Oh wait, never mind. Just kidding. Y'all, some
Well, I
of
mean,
you
that makes
terrify
sense because
me."
that's like your dad's. Yeah, I feel like that's your dad's personality. He's very
Yeah.
much like calm, reserved, and he's like very supportive. So
Well,
like
and
I can see how like how you could think that for a long time because you grew up with that type of like.
well, and not just my dad is, I mean like a lot of the male people in my life I feel like are like that. So like when I finally meet someone that isn't that, I'm like, "Oh, it takes me a while to be like, "Oh wait, you're like your values do not are not the same as mine. I need to remember that." To be fair though, I also do that with everyone. I just, for some reason, my brain likes to assume that everyone thinks exactly like me until proven otherwise, and then I'm surprised every time. And I don't, like,
Sorry,
it happens.
cracking me up.
No, stop! Don't laugh. It's
Sorry.
very real. Like I, I legitimately assume that everyone understands how my brain operates and also is thinking in the same way every single time, and then they surprise me every single time, and I'm like, maybe I should just get used to the idea that no one, j- j- just it's fine. It's fine. We're getting there.
No, I think those are extremes though. I don't think you should say
Yeah.
everyone or no one. But like I think that's why I was laughing. I just found it very. I don't know why I found it funny. Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed. But like
No.
I just thought it was very. Like, the way that
It's
you worded it, you're like, and I figure it out every time. I always get incorrected. Just like sorry, the way that you said it was funny.
just like it's true. It's true. Why am I surprised every time? I don't know. It's fine. Okay, we should move on. Okay, what's the next question? I skipped around a little bit. I
Yeah,
apologize.
let's. No,
Let's
it's
go back.
okay. I think what we could transition into is that like for you personally, we can go back to like personally for you. Now that we've kind of guessed each other's
Mhm,
love languages in the sense of you are physical touch, quality
mhm.
time, and words of affirmation,
Yep.
and I think I'm the same.
You're similar,
Uh,
which makes
yeah,
sense.
we're- yeah, and I like how we both ruled out like gifts. Like that's not really important. That's very
I,
superficial.
yeah. Well, but see, before we hit record, we were also talking about because one of the articles we were looking up said that inside jokes was technically under gifts. That's interesting because I do enjoy a good inside joke. I do. I really do. But I don't think maybe it just doesn't graze the top of my list because I think the other ones take priority over that one. I don't know.
I also associate inside jokes as quality time because are like a product of quality time, you know?
Yeah.
Like I know an article is one perspective, but like I just assume that like you have to spend a lot of quality time to be able to get an inside joke.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe it's like an offshoot somewhere in between, sort of. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
but like
do.
I guess going off of that, what do you think is like a strongest compatibility type for you? Like in terms of for your partner, like what would you want them to have ideally if you feel like that'd be like most compatible?
Um, I feel like quality time is like a no break. Like I need that. That one would have to be. We'd have to be compatible with. I'm okay with getting. Well, no, I'm okay with not having as much physical touch if as long as the quality time is there. I think
Hmm.
if that makes sense. The one
No, I get that.
and then anything else. I feel like as long as one of them is kind of overlapping, the other doesn't really have to be. I don't know, like
Hmm.
as. Although, God, if they ever, if you ever, if you have gifts as one of your love languages, I'm gonna be really shit at it. I'm sorry. I'm telling you that right now. I'm so bad at gift giving. It would like I'm so sorry. Like can I give you a hug instead? like can I like I don't know how to gift give. I'm really bad at it. It's just it's embarrassing. It's really terrible. So if that's one of your love languages, I'm so sorry in advance. I guess maybe that's what it would be. The least compatible would be someone who
Most
requires
compatible.
gifts. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that.
No, I get that. Yeah. For me, I would say it would be quality time and acts of service that would
Okay.
be the most important to me. Like you said, I think if you don't have like physical touch as one of your things of way of expressing love, that's fine for me. Just because like as long as you're okay with me giving you hugs, you know, like as long as you're
Yeah.
okay like with me, like I don't care if you don't reciprocate it. I feel like quality time and acts of service are like more that are important to me just
Yeah.
because I really like spending time with an individual. I think time is really precious.
Yeah.
And
I
I think
agree.
for acts of service, I feel like for acts of service, I'm not as confident in like I get very shy like when I do something for someone. So I was like if someone is confidently like that is like their way of expressing like acts of service, I think I would then like I'd be able to reciprocate it if they're confidently able to
Yeah.
just because that like I like know oh that they I mean a lot to this person and then I'll start trying to do
Yeah.
it. But like I think I just need like an encouragement and that's why I think it'd be good if a partner had acts of service. Just
Yeah.
'cause I need
Well,
that encouragement.
and I feel like acts of service can go beyond just like helping you do groceries. Like it could be like just simple
Yeah, it's
things
more
like
than that.
yeah, like for example, like I think it's kind of fun. It's nice when so I'm in certain like social settings that are like a little bit out of my reach, like networking events or like giant parties
Social
where
events,
there's
happy hours.
yeah, happy hours or like giant like 10 people like where I don't really know everyone. Maybe I know like two or three people. Like I do appreciate like just doing little things like hey, you should be a part of this conversation or guiding me in certain ways like that. That in itself is an act of service, I think, and it's quite nice. It's I do appreciate this because sometimes it's not even that I'm like embarrassed about it. I don't register that I'm doing something wrong. I just sit in the corner and stare off into the distance and think that's totally normal. And I don't really think much about it until someone's like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this conversation?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here." I forgot. So yeah, acts of service. That's nice. I agree. I think I can see that. For
I would
sure.
never turn down gifts, let me just say that.
That
But like I think it just like I feel like it would just be hard because like
yeah.
gifts for me is like materialistic and well like gifts, okay, so gifts what I can do is like if you want I can cook for you, like that's I can express my love in that way, like I can do things. I feel like that's more of acts of service too at that point, like when you're cooking for someone or like eating
Yeah.
together or like buying their meal, like those are the types of gifts I feel like that blend with acts of service or quality time that I'm like okay with. It's like things like I'll buy you a bag or like I'll buy you clothes, like those types like a materialistic
Yeah.
gifts are a little hard for me to like reciprocate just because I'm like I don't know how to convey that through like an item. Like,
Yeah.
like is that
I don't
weird?
know.
I don't think that's
No,
weird.
no. That's fair. Like I feel like whatever I like I can well, yeah, I will receive gifts, but it has to be like thought out and like some sort of like inside
Have
or
meaning
like
behind it.
so yeah, 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 there we go. Yeah. And that's why I struggle to reciprocate that because I have so many emotions that I don't know how to like compile it all down to like one item, a physical item that
Hmm.
I can give you. Like that's impossible. How do I do that? That's not
No,
possible.
I totally get that. Like, I feel like there's too much pressure because you're like, oh, what if they don't get it?
What if
Like,
it's not an inside joke enough? What if it's too much of an inside joke? What if I give it to them and they don't even know what this is? They don't understand. I
yeah,
don't
it just goes
know.
over their head. I have that
It's
fear too.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to get all of this emotion towards this person? Like, and then bottle it all down to one item that I can then give to you. And then you, no, don't like it. Don't know how to do that. I can't. Anyways, okay.
Do you, I guess, out of curiosity, do you think a relationship could work if your love languages don't align? 'Cause I know we've said, like, oh, if you have gifts, it's hard to make it work. But, like, because, like,
I
I
think
think the saying, opposites attract is kind of like a common saying. So I was like, do you think it's really true? Like, opposites attracting could be successful? Or do you think you need to be more alike to be more, like, have a good working relationship?
I think it could work. It just cuz okay, like yeah, I've been bashing on gift giving. I'm sorry. Only because it's fine. But I've been bashing on it. But the thing is I feel like they need to be you I think it's the effort that also like
Mhm.
is nice to know, right? Like so as long as you're putting an effort into meeting someone's love languages and that's enough for them, I think that's totally fine. I don't think it has to be like a perfect like we both like quality time and we both like physical touch, therefore it's always going to work. Like I don't think that's quite true. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some as long as you're trying and you're meeting someone halfway, I think that it works. I think it definitely works.
Yeah, I would agree. I think moving away from love languages and just person like in general, like if two people are very opposite to each other, I feel like it's still possible to like make it work or like still have like a meaningful relationship because
Yeah.
you just gotta learn each other's like what works for the other person, what doesn't work for the other person, and you're making the effort, like you said, to try to figure it out and like keep that
Yeah.
connection. So I don't necessarily think I think it's true to some extent, but I feel like if you're super opposite, it's hard. Like
Well, I don't think truly
that's when like
opposite.
it's too disconnected.
I think my I don't think there's a truly opposite that exists. That's the thing because I feel like I see the love languages as sort of like a pie chart as opposed to like, oh, if I don't have gift giving, then I'm never gonna like gifts. Like I think everyone has a little bit of everything, but it's just like which one takes priority over the other. So like, if like so I
No,
feel
I
like there's
get
a lot of
that. Yeah.
overlap. Yeah. So like obviously if you're like
I
exact
think it's a pie
opposite,
chart too.
if you're exact opposite and you're not like communicating at all, and there's like no, like one person is doing one thing that they think is the other person is gonna like, but the other person is like, I don't know, like this is not my love languages, these are yours, then you're never gonna be able to communicate and be on the same page. That, that affection, you're never gonna be able to
Oh
understand.
yeah, I think I
So
agree with you.
I don't know.
I think the love languages are like a blend, or it is like a pie chart, like you said in that
Yeah.
analogy. I was thinking more of opposites, meaning like in communication and
Oh,
personality, like outside
yeah.
of love languages, like um, like if there's opposite people, because I feel like part of what it means love language is communication. Like you said, like you need to be able to like convey what you're feeling or convey what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're opposite in the way that you communicate, you could make it work, but I don't know how strong it would work. I don't know. That's what I think about when I hear that saying like opposites attract. Like,
I
does it really work?
I think it. I don't know. I think it could potentially work. I think where that comes from is mostly like in like a friendship or relationship. I feel like it should, like, you have to like grow with one another, right? So it would make sense that if one person is not as great at one thing, the other person is, they can like learn from each other and like uplift each other
Hmm.
in different aspects. But I don't think, like, obviously if you don't have the same interests and you have nothing to talk about except shared experience, I don't know how that would work.
That's
I don't
true.
think those
Yeah,
opposites
I think
work.
the commonality. Yeah, I think the commonality that needs to happen is wanting to invest your time in the other person, like to learn more
Yeah.
or to like you mentioned earlier. I think that is what will make it work, no matter how compatible or how opposite or similar you are. That is a good point.
Right.
I would agree with that too.
But also it can't be like, it can't just be like, oh, the other person is teaching you or fixing you, because that's also not great
That is
either.
draining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not, it's like
Yeah.
a delicate balance between you're uplifting each other but you're also not judging them. Like you're just letting them be and you're letting the other person be.
Like
But
grow. Yeah.
every so often there might be one thing or another that you learn from each other along the way. I feel like that makes a lot more sense than like opposites attract and you have to be one part of another half. Like, oh no, I don't like that. It's more like two parts that kind of
Yeah,
live
that's like a
together.
little cliche.
Yeah.
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 I think that's why I think we agree more on that is because quality time. Like, like we both
Yeah.
think that's a big emphasis for making a relationship work. It's just time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point too. Yeah.
We got to be able to stand on our
Um,
own 2 feet before coming together, cuz we're not doing
that is a
this.
good thing. That thing that made me think of another question. Do you think you need to fully like there's always a people always say like you need to love yourself before you can love others, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel that you have to completely like grow yourself in the sense of like love yourself completely to whatever that means to you before you can have like a successful relationship? Because there's people who I've talked to that are like you need to like love yourself before you can love others, and I feel like it's not that way. I feel like it's parallel. I feel like other people can help you learn how you can love yourself,
Mhm.
and
It's that's
so
like
it's like it's not serial.
that's the other end. That's the other extreme of people. It's like one people who are like, I need another person or I'm not going to be able to learn anything about myself. And then there's the other where it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm never talking to anyone else until I figure it out. It's like, this exists, right?
Yeah.
This still exists. We could be in the
Yeah,
middle.
that's a good point. I didn't realize that is the spectrum. Like
Mhm.
codependency, like I need to be with someone to figure myself out versus like I need to figure myself out before like I am with someone. Like it's me, not you is that end
Yeah.
of the spectrum, and then the other end is like I need to find someone and I can't be single, and people, those people who like freak out when they're single and they're like I can't be single, I need to find someone. That
Yeah.
is a good point. That is a spectrum on its own. I feel like
I
yeah, in the middle
where do
would be
you
like
This is a good question. Where do you think you land on that? Like, where do you think you go? Because I know where I go. I think I'm leaning more into independence. I'm trying to get back into this middle, but I'm always like gravitating to independence, hyper independence, because I'm scared of this. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go back here on my own. Don't worry about it. Like, it's really bad. I'm trying to
No,
get
I
back,
agree
but
with you. If if I'll be honest, I'm more on the independent side where like I think I've just been so independent in like autopilot mode of just like looking out for myself that I gravitate towards more like I'll figure it out myself. I don't really
yeah,
need anyone. Like having someone else around is nice, but I don't need that person in order to like grow myself.
right.
Ideally, I'd want it in the middle where like I can learn new things about myself with another person and whatnot. But like, yeah, that's the ideal. I think in the middle where like you're helping another person grow, they're helping you grow, and you're growing together, and you're
Yeah.
enjoying each other's time, and it's wonderful. But
It's all
I'm like
peachy
you. I'm like
keen.
more in the independent side. Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
peachy keen and it's great and there's communication and amazing and wow. Who knew? Um yeah, I
the
agree.
ideal world.
Right? Okay, here's a question that I thought would be kind of interesting. Have you ever lied about your love language to make things work between a friend or something more or even like a family, like relative? It's like have you completely lied about it?
Um, Family members know just because I'm like, yo, we're family. I'm telling you the truth and the honest truth.
Mhm.
um, but with like friends and like more than friends individuals, I have in the sense of like in hopes that I don't have to anymore, if that makes sense. It's just because
Yeah.
I feel like what I've learned earlier on is like you can't like continuously give, give, give. You have to wait and receive to make like yeah, there's got to be give and take
Yeah.
in order for that relationship to work long term. And so like that's like I think early on I would if I had to be honest, I probably did lie and like try to be like, yeah, that's totally what like that works for me too and like things like that. But like now I feel like I'm not as much. Like I'm trying to be more vocal about it. It's weird just cuz like but like yeah, I have done that before. Yes. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, that's fair. I feel like it's like a rite of passage. You have to go through your lying phase where you're lying about everything that interests you in order to like, get through to someone. And then like you realize that it's like, was it worth it? No, because at the end of the day, you were not satisfied at all. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
in the moment you're like it's the fear of like it not working out. So you're like I don't
Yeah.
want to lose this connection to this person, so let me
Yeah.
try what I can to keep the connection. But then like you said long term you're like is it even worth having a connection to this person? Like
You
is
get
it
burned
still
out.
bringing value into my life?
Right.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that type of burnout is very real. Yeah.
Well, and it's also like I do this sometimes. I do this at work as well. I guess we haven't really talked about it in work. Their love languages are definitely a
Oh
thing at
yeah.
work. Specifically, like for example, if certain coworkers appreciate act like words of affirmation, like they need to be like, oh, you did great, but maybe next time do this. Like that in itself is a word of affirmation, and then it's like a critique, right? I've been in a situation where in the workplace I do need a lot of words of affirmation in terms of work. And
Hmm.
in the beginning, like there was a particular individual that was kept taking a lot from me and being like, I need you to do this and this and this and this and this and this. But I would never get that affirmation. And at first it was fine,
Yeah.
right? At first I was like, this is fine. This is cool. I'm okay. I can give myself affirmation, right? Like I can tell myself I did a good job. I did it in time, which is unusual for me. Like I had my schedule. I did everything I could and I thought that was enough. But after a while, it starts taking a toll on you because you're starting to question like, wait, am I actually doing
Yeah.
a good job or are they just like I don't know like where I stand. I don't know like if they hate what I'm doing and you're giving me indication that you do and I don't know how to deal with this. So like again like lying about what you need from that interaction. For it doesn't work ever, right? Not long term for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Love languages in the workplace is definitely a thing, and it's not like how you would in like a friendship or a
Hmm.
relationship with a partner. Well, like I agree with you in the sense of like, I think my like categories still say the same, but like what I expect in like need or like things like that in the workplace is definitely quality time and like acts of service is how I like tend to like convey like if I see someone like drowning in work and like you could see that they're clearly stressed, I'd be like, "Hey, what can I do to make your play a little bit better?" Is like how I feel like I need to step in.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think when it comes to like managers or like like just like mentorships, I think quality time is super important for me just because like just kind of like sit and just talk is really like it helps like because like you I feel like more than getting the work done, getting to know the
Hmm.
person is really important to me in a workplace because you need to be able to trust that you'll be able to get whatever that future work is done. And I
Yeah.
think that's like the most important part of a team in a workplace. I'm like you where like words of affirmation is okay for me. Like I think I don't take compliments well in the
Yeah.
workplace.
Yeah.
So like it's okay to me if no one tells me I'm doing a good job. I'm just kind of like move on from it. But I do have a friend who's like, she was telling me, she's like, what I look for in a manager is they're constantly motivating me with words of affirmation, like you're doing good, keep going up, which I get that. Like performance reviews at the end of the day, like affirmations help because like you're at the end of the year, like what all you did was worth it, is how it feels. Is like, so
Yeah.
I get that. I think I was reading up about this. Apparently, receiving gifts like in a workplace, how that would be that's where like the snack, candy, or like, hey, let me treat you to a coffee. Um,
Yeah.
but then like also that article I was mentioning about earlier before the episode, like inside jokes is in that realm as well because it helps you figure out the similarity between your team. So I thought that was interesting. But I don't know. It's always nice to receive like a gift like coffee and treats like that, but I don't know if that's
Yeah.
me either.
No, I
Do
absolutely agree. And I actually wonder if these kind of love languages flip around for different situations. Like obviously like love languages are usually associated with like relationships and like maybe friendships, mostly just relationships and like that kind of stuff. I wonder if like your love languages change. I mean, obviously they probably would in like a workplace situation and how you interact with coworkers. Like
Mhm.
and because okay, for one thing, I don't think physical touch would be anywhere near my top three for work life. Please
That's like an
God,
HR violation, I feel
don't
like,
come near
if
me.
it's too far.
Yeah, nuh-uh. Uh, we're not doing that. Get out of here. I
If
hope
it's taken
that's
too far, that's an HR violation right there.
yeah.
Like,
Ugh. Yeah, like no none of that, please. But yeah, like I wonder if those kind of switch around in different situations. They probably do. I can see it. Like, yeah, and you know, love languages with your family as well. Like obviously I'm not and well, actually I am very physical. I am very huggy with my family. I am. I used to not be, but I am a lot now. It's fun. They're like, "Where did this come from?" I'm like, "I just had it all bottled up for you guys, waiting for to just
I saved it for you. Yeah.
I saved it for you." I
Going
don't
back
know.
to the workplace though, out of curiosity, with someone who's like not at your peer level, like someone who's above you, what would be like types of interactions or love languages you would want with that? Maybe it is a manager or your boss, or maybe it's a mentor. You feel like that would help you be more successful in the workplace.
Um, I think I definitely um in terms okay, so I guess it's two different. So in terms of receiving, I do like the words of affirmation, but in terms of giving, like me giving a love language, I think I appreciate like giving acts of service. Like if I can provide you with a service and actually help you out and like
Hmm.
help you reach some goal or help you take something off your plate, then I feel like I'm helping out and I'm being part of a team. Um I
Hmm.
don't know. Like quality time honestly isn't I think quality time is high on a lot of people's list in terms of work life, but I'm like kind of leaning more into not having that as be my top because I like to keep that personal and work life separate, like to a max, mostly through experience. And I won't get into it, but I've had experiences in the past where that line gets very blurred, and I don't like when that happens because everything just falls apart, in my opinion. So I like to like it. it was where quality time was being used as a weapon to get me to do things that I wasn't comfortable doing, and it's fine. But
Oh.
so it wasn't like I'm leaning more into, so I think physical touch would be at the bottom, quality time would probably be second or third, maybe third. Gifts will probably be fourth, and then acts of service or words of affirmation, acts of service. It's like, I don't know. Like I don't know what the question was. What was the question? I forget.
No, that was
But
it. Like, what do you
that
think
was
would be valuable? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that would be. I think words of affirmation would be the top one, and acts of service, because I don't want, like, the ones that I keep for my personal life. I don't want that to be anywhere near my work life at all. I'm very
That's
hesitant like bringing
interesting.
those two. Like
I,
I don't know, and I
I
think
feel
that's
like
just
that's,
through
I don't know. Do you think
experience.
that's like Do
It's
you think that's like a Midwestern East Coast thing? Or not? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't put it with location, just because I feel like the Midwest and East Coast is more traditional. Because like whenever I worked at like a place within like our like hometown, like very much was like 5 o'clock hits. We don't really, we just kind of go to our families. We don't really like associate hanging out and being friends with your work friends
well,
after like your work hours as much.
well,
Whereas when I worked like when I was in LA, like people were very like let's be a family type thing, so like the lines do get blurred because you're hanging out often outside of work as well.
yeah.
And like I
I
like like you said, for me it was very uncomfortable like at first because I was so used to people like switching off me, like the boundary of like
Oh
we're work
yeah,
friends, we're family friends, or friends outside of work. Like there's very much of a category, but there's not that boundary like from the workplace that I um experienced on that side, where everybody's like we hang out, we like talk to about our family like life about outside of work, like that those things matter in terms of being
yeah.
friends. And so it's like
I think I
yeah, it's
think
weird.
I think definitely in, I can't speak for the entire East Coast or entire Midwest or whatever, but I know Boston
Right.
specifically is very work
Hmm.
life, personal life doesn't mix. We don't talk about each other, like we're friends at work. We have friends outside of work, separate. Actually, more so than Ohio, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
Ohio,
Oh,
I think
interesting.
more so than Ohio. Um, Everything is very separate here. Um,
Mhm.
in my time in New York, I think that's where the lines were too blurred. It was like right on top of each other, like to a fault. And that's why right now I'm
Mm.
like, no, opposite. I want to try the opposite. Because I tried this, didn't work. Didn't
Right.
work. And now I
Do you
want
think
to
there
do
should be
this.
some cross at one point?
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
do you think the line should be blurred a little bit?
I think ideally it should be blurred a little bit. It can be, I think. But it takes years to build that up, right? I think it was also the speed in which it happened that I was very
Oh,
that
yeah,
I
that's a good
didn't,
point.
right. Like I don't think it was, like, if I had been there for years, if I had been there for a couple of months, a couple of years, and then that happened, and then I got closer to people as I moved, then it would be a lot more comfortable than just immediately being like, we're best friends, we're a family. It's like, ooh, no, please stop.
Yeah,
No.
that's a good point. I think doing it too fast, where you're like, oh yeah, we're a happy kumbaya family, it's like at work is kind of
No.
weird and
Yeah.
kind of feels superficial. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it's a good point. I think the line should be blurred to that point because I think for me, in order to be a successful team at work, is you need to have that trust that an
Yeah.
individual's going to have your back, or they're going to be willing to kind of talk through problems that the team faces. So that's why I think like the communication types, the love language types, like those are important to address, I guess, or like to consider. So that's interesting though. Like it shouldn't be too much because then when you blur the lines, that's the difficult part when you blur the lines, is because now you're starting to see each other as like people, like as you
Mm-hmm.
should, like as like
Yeah.
friends. And friends aren't business transactions, but the workplace setting is a business. So it's like it gets hard, like when you have to do something for work that has to be
Yeah.
prioritized. Like a good example is maybe someone is having a really tough time outside of work, like their family life is really difficult right now, but as like a work coworker or potentially a manager, you have to be like, yo, like you have to set those feelings aside and get work done because like you're here for
Yeah.
a job. Once you start blurring your relationship with people like that, it makes those conversations difficult, or like make those expectations that you're going to get your work done difficult because you're like, I know you're going through a really bad time, how am I supposed to tell you to do your work, like do your
Right,
job?
right.
Like that's super hard. So that's why I'm like, That's why it's like really weird. Like, should you blur or should you not? Like,
Yeah. And I feel like I that obviously okay, and I'm obviously speaking in like extremes, right? I don't think I've ever experienced, maybe that's what it is. I've never experienced a good happy medium between the two. So I don't know what that feels
mhm.
like. Therefore, I'm sure my view will shift as time goes on,
When you
right?
find that happy medium, or
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
better one than outside of the extremes. Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because that's a lie too. I think I have experienced a happy medium. I just didn't know how to recognize it was a happy medium because I was like starting out an intern. I like no one, you know what I mean? Like people don't give
Yeah,
interns
you don't know
actual
anything when
work.
you're an intern.
No, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I guess
I think it's cool how it bleeds over. I think just in general to kind of wrap things up, like I think it's cool that
yeah.
love languages can be bled into different like things, and it's not just relationships. Because at the end of the day, we're all people,
Hmm.
and so you need that type of stuff to do people-y things.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way of like identifying how different people operate because that's something that
And being empathetic. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like it's kind of similar to personality type. I mean, obviously they're not like hard fast rules by any means, but they're nice guidelines to have. Like, oh, hey, this is how I can interact with you and make sure that you're comfortable in the situation. Good to know. Great. You're it's just nice. Just nice to know.
How to be cognizant of the other person. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely a
increase
great tool to figure that out.
increase that empathy.
Hmm.
Understand. It's good. Anyways, this was
Facts.
fun. This was a great conversation. I feel like this is a great and apt conversation for February. Valentine's Day. Do you have any Valentine's Day plans, Kirti?
Nah, girl, I'm just gonna go and get some chocolate. I
Hell
always do
yeah.
that, like discounted chocolate the day after. It's always
Nice.
fun. But then I
Nice.
have to gotta work it out. But that's the
I
plan. How about you?
I actually think I have a concert in like 2 days before
Oh,
Valentine's
fun.
Day that I impulsively bought like 4 months ago. I think I bought
Who
three
are you
tickets.
seeing?
Oh, who am I seeing? I am seeing. Wow, I'm blanking. I forget. It was so long ago. I don't remember, but it was someone. It was some indie artist, and that I really like, and
Oh,
I've seen them quite a bit. So, or I've heard quite a bit of their music. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. I bought 3 tickets, so hopefully there's some Galentine's Day something that I can do or put together for that day. It will be great.
oh,
So
fun.
yeah, it'll be nice, and yeah, so that'll be fun,
Yeah, hope things
exciting.
work out.
Yeah. Now I know. See, I know all the love languages now, so I can like use it for my Galentine's Day, even though it's not really about. Well, it's fine. Whatever. It's fine. It'll be great. Okay. Well, this is great. Thank you to our listeners for holding on until the end. I know the conversation was a little chaotic this time, but I think we had a great time. It was fun. Fun times. Very interesting topic, and you know what? We'll put a love language test in the episode description so you guys can try it out. And yeah, you can catch our episodes on Spotify, on Apple. Please share and share it with everyone. And thanks for listening. That's all.
Yeah, and let us know what your love language is on Instagram or something. I think if you take
That'd be
the love
fun.
language test from our episode description, I think it would be fun to learn.
Yeah. Yep. So, yep. That's all.
See ya. We'll see you guys on
Bye.
episode 2.
Yeah.
So before you kind of leave us today, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Revi Ray Audio. You might have heard that our intro and outro music is a little bit different this season and is definitely upgraded to a next level. That's all thanks to Revi Ray, who was our last guest in season 2, and he agreed to help us out with our music for season 3. So thank you so much, Revi Ray, for all your help.
And if you guys want to get in contact with him to collaborate with any projects or work with Revy Ray Audio, we are linking his information to the episode description, so you can reach out to him or see all the other projects he's done. And thanks again, Revy, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.